Hello, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Thanks for taking the time to attend this half-hour live session as a part of our virtual expo, Unlock AM Live, the digital post-printing experience. Our final webinar topic of the week is the role of post-printing in additive manufacturing's sustainable future. Our guest speaker today is Dean Von Bank, the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships here at PostProcess. Before we get started, I just want to note that this is a live interactive webinar, so there will be polling and an opportunity for Dean to address questions at the end of the session when the chat feature is enabled. Additionally, this session will be recorded and made available for download afterwards. Finally, if you're interested in seeing our solutions in action, we are offering live solution experience tours, including a few sessions later this morning and afternoon, and then bi-weekly going forward. In this session, you'll be guided through automated post-printing in real time, live from our lab by a post-process technical expert. Go to the Unlock AM Live main event site to sign up for this morning or afternoon sessions, and then look out for our post-event email for information on upcoming bi-weekly sessions. All right, now that I've kicked it off, I'll hand it over to Dean. Dean, take it away.
Thanks, Diana, and great job by you and your team, Diana, this week. Hopefully people that are on this webinar had an opportunity to experience some of the other webinars earlier in the week. Outstanding event, the Unlock event this week. So today we want to focus on sustainability, as Diana said, and just a quick review of the agenda. First, we want to talk about why should we even care? Why do we care about sustainability? Hopefully that's something that I want to spend a lot of time on. Secondly, though, I want to talk about sustainability and additive and the relationship between the two and how additive can play a role in sustainability. And then a piece that is very specific and near to dear to post-process, which is what are the sustainability considerations when we talk about post-printing? And I will talk about specifically some of our solutions and how we relate to the sustainability topic. And then we'll allow for 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the session for conclusion and questions and answers. So the first topic is, what do we mean by sustainability? So it's probably something that many people have heard of. The way that it's described is that you really talk about the fact that we need to focus on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations or our kids, is the way that I think about it, to meet their needs. And the concept is usually communicated within 3 pillars. It talks about economic, environmental, and social. I like to think of those, and it's often informally referred to as profits, planets, and people. And I thought it was interesting. I was doing a little bit of research, and I found a quote from the CEO of Harley-Davidson, who is interestingly very interested in sustainability. And I figure if the CEO of Harley-Davidson is very interested in sustainability, we all should be. And his quote was that sustainability is no longer about doing less harm, it's about doing more good. So what we're really talking about is, how are we doing good, to use my very bad grammar, for the world and the future generations. Why should we think about sustainability? A couple statistics. Workers are increasingly concerned about sustainability in their everyday workplace. So 40% of respondents in one study said that they would look to change jobs if the company didn't focus on sustainability and implement sustainable business practices. 61% of people in that same survey believe that business sustainability is mandatory. And 58% said that environmentally conscious practices are important to engaging in the future workplace. Many of us have heard from our customers and in the industries in general that consumers are also increasingly more likely to buy goods and services from companies that are mindful of their impact on the environment and are doing things to positively impact the environment and society. The third point about why we should think about sustainability is that developing these sustainable business practices streamline operations, creating more efficiency, which is something that all of us are very concerned about, and conserve resources, decreasing a company's operational costs. So we know that every day we're looking for ways to make our companies more efficient and more operationally effective. So I'd like to shift to an interactive piece, a polling question. And oops, let me just make sure that, okay. So the poll is, and you can just click on your answer, which area is your company spending the most effort on sustainability? Is it first, waste management? Second, energy use or emissions? Third, employee wellness? Some other category, fourth, or my company's not really putting a lot of energy into sustainability. So we'll take just a minute for people to respond. It's very interesting for me to find out how other companies are thinking about sustainability. So please click your answer, and I think Diana will come back on and talk about what the results are in just a minute.
Yeah, and it looks like at 46% is energy use and emissions, followed in a tie by waste management and employee wellness.
Interesting. Well, we're going to cover some areas, especially related to post-printing and the offerings or solutions by post-process, how we address some of those. Okay, so now if we want to shift to from the broader sustainability topic to why is sustainability important to additive? We believe, and I think the additive manufacturing industry believes, that additive is an important way to position ourselves as a more sustainable manufacturing solution. There's other advantages of additive as well, but when we talk specifically about sustainability, AM can allow for more material efficient designs, especially when compared to traditional manufacturing. I think that's one of the advantages, the general advantages of additive, and it applies very much to sustainability. Additive is also able to repurpose more materials, especially powder, and be able to feed those back into the manufacturing economy in some kind of new form. Additive offers the opportunity for more sustainable biodegradable polymers, something like polylactic acid, PLA, is an example. And additive also creates more opportunities for a sustainable value chain via on-demand manufacturing. So that has been evident, extremely evident in all of the discussions around the global pandemic that we're in right now. Reducing the need for these shipping, transportation costs, the ability to produce more locally, all of those have been very much brought to the forefront for additive because of the current situation with COVID. When we talk about sustainability and post-printing, one of the areas that we've talked about all week in our Unlock events is the fact that we have an automated intelligent solution and that allows for us to connect this digital thread all the way from design through print through post-print. And when you think about that, you can design sustainability into that process by thinking about how you're going to print your parts. So as an example, if you consider you want a particular finish, you can design your part, the speed of your part, allowing for the fact that you know you can use a post-print solution to come to a certain finish, as well as the way that you think about material and support structures for overhangs. Your designs can either increase or decrease the amount of waste that comes out of your operation. On Monday, we actually did a webinar on this topic talking about polymer support removal and how we design your additive manufacturing part for post-printing success. So if this is an area about how you design parts for sustainability and the post-printing sustainability front, please go take a look at that webinar on Monday, which can be downloaded from our website. We're going to do another polling question. Again, I'll read through the question and Diana will come back with the results. But now shifting to thinking, excuse me, about sustainability in your additive operations, what's your largest focus area? Is it one, reducing energy consumption, which it sounded like that's what it was from a company standpoint? Is it two, creating a safer work environment for your employees? Is it three, focusing on waste disposal and management? Fourth, reducing reprints and scrapped parts? Or sustainability, again, is not really a big focus of our additive operations. If you can take just a minute, think about your internal additive operations, click the one that is mostly your focus today, and then hopefully we'll be able to talk about some solutions that post-process has that can address some of those focus areas. So We'll give it just a minute, and then Diana will jump back in with the results.
Okay, it looks like actually the winner here is reducing reprints and scrapped parts at 36%, followed closely by waste disposal and management at 29%. Interesting.
Yeah, those are great lead-ins to as we talk about how our solutions, Diana, are going to solve for some of those sustainability focus areas. So I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes or so, and then we'll open it up for questions, talking about our solutions in this space. So we're going to talk about 3 different solutions and the impact that our solutions can have on the potential sustainability of your operation. Excuse me. And so the first area that we want to concentrate on is on resin removal. So for SLA, DLP, CLIP, and the sustainability considerations around that in that front. So today's resin removal process, if you're familiar with it, it involves a lot of traditional manufacturing tanks with traditional solvents like IPA. Very often there is a lot of manual labor with brushes or squeeze bottles in order to remove the resin. So this would be the traditional way that today people are removing excess resin from their parts. We've developed a more sustainable, environmentally friendly, and automated process for resin removal. Well, I'm not going to go a lot into the solution today. You can learn a lot more by either reaching out to us or going to our website to learn about our specific resin removal solution. I want to talk about it in terms of sustainability. So one of the pieces of sustainability is if you can clean more parts or have a greater longevity of the solvent that they're using, that has significant advantages from a sustainability standpoint. So our post-process solution using our detergent can clean 5 times as many parts. And we've tested it in the field, cleaning over 1,000 trays. It's actually probably closer to 2,000 trays now, well over 20,000 plus parts before reaching saturation. So what does that greater longevity mean to you as a user of, or as a producer of parts using resin? It means that you have less downtime. You're spending less time switching out detergent. You also have the lower risk of accidents occurring during those chemistry changes. The less that you're handling chemistry, the better off that you are. And one of the biggest outcomes is that because we can clean 5 times as many parts, you have 1/5 the amount of waste. So if you look down on the right-hand side of this slide, just from a pictorial description, you could see that for every 1 barrel of waste that's produced by the post-process process, you can produce up to 5 barrels of waste from IPA. So a dramatic reduction in the amount of waste. I talked about there's really 3 different areas when we talk about resin removal that the post-process solution provides a more sustainable solution. One is in that reduced chemical handling, 5 times less handling, which reduces spillage, less equipment needed. One of the things that it sounds like a lot of people are focused is on energy and the amount of floor space and energy that's required for your operation. This solution would provide less, would be able to fit into a smaller floor space, less chemical storage, generates significant less waste, as I talked about on the last slide. And then one thing that is starting to get talked about a lot is this safer work environment. So our solution, because of the higher flash point of our solution, much higher flash point than IPA, we don't require ATEX certification in Europe or an explosion-proof environment or equipment as we talk about in the US. So there's less exposure to these toxic and flammable vapors like IPA. The second solution that I want to talk about is FDM and how sustainability fits into FDM support removal. So again, talking about how FDM support removal occurs today, traditional manufacturing, again, with tanks, submersible tanks, and a lot of manual labor in addition to the submersible tanks. It takes so long in a submersible tank that often people want to remove as much of the support material as they can before they put it into a tank to allow the solution to move as efficiently as possible. The solution that post-process offers, one of the solutions that we offer that we're talking about today is our VVD solution, which not only because it's controlled, software controlled, not only does it significantly reduce what we call the attended technician time, or the amount of time that a technician has to spend checking parts and making sure that they're clean, it also dramatically reduces the overall cycle time. So in our comparison tests, our FDM support removal solution is 6 to 10 times faster than a traditional submersible tank. So again, you can imagine, with the focus that many of you have on energy and the ability to increase your throughput and focus on how energy impacts your throughput, this could have a significant impact. How does that translate into the things that we've been talking about in sustainability? Well, because you can use a smaller footprint to have the same amount of throughput, and it's a much faster cycle time, it actually uses 2 to 4 times less energy than a traditional tank solution. The high efficiency of our solution can double the batch capacity of a common wash tank. So if one of the issues that you're having is that throughput issue, our solution provides a much better option to increase that throughput. Interestingly, many people's focus areas, and the number one, I think, Diana, you had said, focus area within additive is people reprinting parts. So in FDM, some customers see an issue with warpage due to having things in a tank for long periods of time at high temperatures. Because our solution exposes parts much less, there's less waste from reprinting these parts and less damage to the parts. And then because there's less manual labor of removing some of the supports, et cetera, you can also look at the sustainability for a worker and the lower workplace issues due to repetitive injuries, which is a significant area that the companies are looking to try and reduce. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we move to the next solution, which is PolyJet. So the last area that I want to concentrate is on PolyJet and how our solution provides a more sustainable solution for PolyJet support removal. Again, not surprising for those of you that are doing PolyJet support removal. The traditional way is using, again, some tanks to maybe loosen up some of the support, using a water blaster. You see the picture that on the bottom of this slide. And often it's using a lot of manual picks and brushes along with that water blaster to make sure that you truly remove all of the PolyJet support. Our solution, again, is controlled by our automated software. It's an automated, intelligent solution compared to the traditional water blaster. Again, to do that comparison, we've seen throughput increases of more than 30% and reduced attended technician time by over 80% when compared to that manual water blasting. So you might say, well, why is that important? If any of you have done, and I know Diana has done this personally, stuck your hands in one of those glove ports and held the parts while you're trying to blast off the PolyJet support material, that kind of repetitive nature, let alone it's not really that easy to hold on to some of the parts as they get slippery and move around. But that from a sustainability standpoint, the idea that you're for 6, 8, 10 hours a day reaching in and holding parts and spraying them off, that's definitely a repetitive concern for many customers. So the two areas for PolyJet support removal where our solution is more sustainable, the first is on reducing reprints, which again, many of you said that's a big challenge. Often when you're using a water jet or you're using picks or tools, you might damage, especially in PolyJet, if you're talking about medical materials or where you're talking about heart models and medical models and things like that. To try and clean those is often a difficult thing, and we've heard of people that often are having to reprint or to print multiple to start with because they know that they're going to have a certain amount of damage. And then the second piece on reducing repetitive injuries, and I've just put a couple statistics in here that 2/3 of all occupational injuries that are reported are mainly due to upper body parts, such as the wrist, shoulder, and elbow, these repetitive injuries. And in general, again, this is across all markets, not specific to additive, but those kinds of motion industries cost employers an estimated $80 billion a year. So it definitely is an area that many people want to focus on and want to make sure that they're creating the best environment for their employees, the least risky and most sustainable environment for their employees. So again, that's just a quick overview of 3 of our solutions, how they affect sustainability, how they have a positive impact on sustainability. Please reach out to us if you have more interest in either resin removal, FDM support removal, or PolyJet support removal. And that also is, as Diana said, going to be covered in the LSEs that we have the rest of today. And you can schedule an individual solution experience time or tour with us as well if that doesn't work out for you today. So in summary, why is sustainability a focus, or why should sustainability be a focus? Well, companies are starting to think about, and some of them are being very progressive in thinking about all 3 of these pillars: profits, planets, and people, is again the way that I like to think about it. We believe, and many people in additive believe, that we have an opportunity to positively influence this sustainability. And post-process is committed to sustainability, not only within our company and within our labs and when we deal with our employees, but also in the solutions we provide. And so hopefully you got just a brief flavor in the short time that we have together of the types of things that we can do with our solutions to increase sustainability in additive. So with that, Diana, I think I will turn it over to you to see if any people have questions. We have 5 minutes or so for questions here at the end.
Great. Yep. So please go ahead and post your questions in the chat box. The first one I see here is, how does the spray not damage the FDM parts?
So yeah, I didn't go a lot into the solution. It's something that we definitely can take offline and talk about, but at a very high level, we use a very high volume of spray, not high pressure. And so it doesn't damage the parts because we're using high volume of a chemistry and temperature to remove the supports rather than using a submersible. We also have a submersible solution, but in comparison to a submersible tank. So it's high volume versus high pressure spray. Good question.
What is the SLA chemistry made of?
What is the SLA chemistry?
Yeah.
So it's an organic chemistry that is a proprietary formulation that we've put together. And part of our design is we want to think of 3 different things when we design our chemistry. It's a chemistry that's designed for effectiveness. So does it effectively clean the parts or remove the excess resin? Number 2, does it do it fast? And in all of our trials, our chemistry removes the resin typically in less than 10 minutes. And then the third piece, and the piece that's really applied to this sustainability topic, is what does the longevity look like? So do we talk about, or can we increase the longevity to a point where it not only is effective from a sustainability standpoint, but also from an operational cost? So it's a proprietary formulation that we put together. There is an SDS on our website that can give a lot of the details if somebody's looking for all of the details.
Okay. How does the chemistry only do support removal and not penetrate the build material?
So a good question. I mean, all of our, if you know anything about post-process, and you probably have learned throughout this week, if you were not familiar, our focus is only on additive. And so all of our solutions, our full stack solutions, our hardware, software, and chemistry are designed to work together to be effective just in the additive market. So with regard to our chemistry, our chemists, our PhDs in chemistry that work back in their lab, they're designing chemistry that just influences, attacks, goes after that support material, designed specifically to go after the support material and not the build material. So as an example, in PolyJet or FDM, we have tested against a number of all of the different support materials and build materials to make sure that we're just impacting that. The second piece the way I would answer that is that because we have a software controlled solution, we can change the different energy forces that we're using in our solution as we get closer and closer to that build material. So we can change the ultrasonics or the temperature or the amount of flow, et cetera, to again protect that build material and only remove the support material.
Great, thanks. Okay, here's a waste-related question. What is the process to remove the leftover support in the machine?
So it depends on the solution. I don't want to give the consulting answer, but it definitely depends. It depends not only on from two parts. There's the waste that's generated, which has some support material in it, as well as the detergent. And depending on what the solution is, there's different ways to accomplish removing and dealing with that waste. And then each solution, each machine has a different way to actually clean the machine. In many of the solutions, we have a filtering system, different levels of filters that are used to filter out the support material, and they have to be changed or cleaned on a schedule for each one of the filters. So please reach out to us or have a conversation with us. It really varies by solution, but we have an approach for not only handling the waste, but also for cleaning and filtering out the waste within the system.
Okay, and then I'm gonna probably call this one the last question of the day.
Okay.
What is the efficiency percentage of the support removal systems?
The efficiency percentage.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I know what efficiency percentage means, so I guess I'll try and answer that a couple different ways. If you're saying, does it remove all of the supports, then it's 100% efficiency. I guess maybe whoever got that question, Diana, I'm not sure that I understand exactly what efficiency percentage means.
Okay,
That's not
and we can follow up after.
So maybe we'll follow up individually with the person.
Yep, and then this can be the last one. Do you offer any kind of solution focused on multi-jet fusion in regards to removing powder from complex channels?
So we do. We have we didn't talk about that today. We have a solution. It's a spray solution. You could find it on our again on our website, or please reach out to us for more information. That does do powder removal for polymer MJF powder removal, and we also spend a significant amount of time with MJF on surface finish, so improving the surface finish of MJF. So we do have solutions in both of those realms. Please reach out directly to us to talk more about your application, your situation, and whether those would be effective solutions for you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Dean. I think that's all we have time for today. We appreciate your time. Thank you to the audience. If you have time, join us today for a live solution experience tours happening this morning and afternoon. And everyone, thanks for attending Unlock AM Live. We'll have a great day.
Great. Thanks, Diana.
Bye-bye.